Best player you've gone against?
In college, it's been probably Caitlin, Aaliyah.
The sports world absolutely thrives on a good feud. It feeds on the toxic, outdated idea that two queens can never share the same throne, constantly pitting successful women against one another to manufacture drama, drive clicks, and boost engagement metrics. For the last 3 years, the relentless media machine has worked overtime to fabricate a bitter personal war between Paige Bueckers and Caitlin Clark. They've positioned the UConn prodigy against the Iowa sensation, obsessively analyzing every glance, every social media post, every statistical comparison to uncover even the smallest traces of animosity or jealousy. But just when this carefully crafted narrative of jealousy and bitterness reached its absolute boiling point, something extraordinary happened at the USA basketball training camp that completely shattered the entire storyline into a million pieces. The leaked footage that emerged and the incredible interview that followed didn't just debunk this manufactured rivalry, it exposed a terrifying new reality for the rest of the basketball world. And the proof of this massive deception arrived from the most unlikely source imaginable. It all started with a few grainy clips suddenly hitting social media from the exclusive USA Women's National Team training camp. This elite camp brought together the absolute legends of the WNBA and the brightest future stars of the sport in one pressure-packed gym. Everyone watching expected awkwardness, tension, maybe even confrontation. We're talking about Caitlin Clark, a rookie sensation who has been physically targeted, face-guarded relentlessly, and verbally dismissed by hardened veterans for months, stepping onto the same court with some of the very people who have publicly thrown shade at her career. And then there's Paige Bueckers, the college superstar who many analysts argued was completely overshadowed by the unstoppable Clark mania. During her frustrating injury rehabilitation period, the stage was absolutely set for explosive tension. The cameras were positioned and ready to capture the cold shoulders, the isolated drills, the uncomfortable silence. But that's not what happened at all. Instead of drama, the world got a stunning glimpse of pure basketball nirvana. The leaked clips showed Paige and Caitlin not just awkwardly coexisting or maintaining professional distance, but genuinely thriving together in perfect harmony. We witnessed them operating in the backcourt during intense scrimmage drills, and the chemistry was instantaneous, almost supernatural. It was actually disturbing how easily they read each other's movements, anticipating cuts and passes without even looking. You had Caitlin's legendary logo range gravity stretching the defense to its absolute breaking point, which instantly opened up slashing lanes the Paige exploited with surgical precision and ruthless efficiency. They were high-fiving after every play, laughing genuinely between possessions, and communicating on an advanced level that usually takes teammates years of playing together to develop naturally. For the millions of fans watching these clips spread across social media, it was a moment of sudden, jarring realization. The media desperately wants them to be bitter enemies, but they're actually the ultimate basketball soulmates. But the visual evidence was only the beginning of this revelation. The real bombshell dropped when the microphones were finally turned on and Paige started speaking. This wasn't just a quick, forgettable soundbite caught while walking to the team bus. This was Paige Bueckers deliberately sitting down and methodically dissecting the game with a level of maturity, insight, and grace that made the current toxic WNBA discourse look absolutely childish by comparison. When directly asked about Caitlin, Paige didn't give the standard, safe PR answer that most players hide behind. She didn't just say she's great and move on to avoid controversy. She went deep into the details. She spoke eloquently about Caitlin's elite passing ability, a crucial part of her game that often gets completely ignored by casual fans because everyone's obsessed with the scoring records and logo threes. Paige highlighted the exceptional court vision, the pace control, and the sheer difficulty of what Caitlin is asked to do and deliver every single night under immense pressure. What stood out most to anyone really listening was the genuine tone of her voice. There was zero envy detectable. There was no subtle, I'm coming for her spot, competitive energy lurking beneath the surface. It was pure, unadulterated respect from one elite player to another. Paige explicitly referred to Caitlin as a generational talent, directly acknowledging the insane pressure and expectations she carries on her shoulders every single day. You have to understand the crucial context here to appreciate how remarkable this moment really was. Paige is an absolute competitor through and through. She desperately wants to be number one, to be the best player in the world. But she's secure enough, confident enough in her own undeniable greatness to openly acknowledge someone else's excellence without feeling personally threatened or diminished by it. In an era where we constantly see players subtly liking negative tweets about their competitors or taking passive-aggressive shots during tense post-game press conferences, Paige's glowing, unqualified endorsement was like a breath of fresh air cutting through toxic smog. It signaled powerfully to the entire basketball world that the new guard of women's basketball operates on a completely different frequency, with different values. They aren't here to tear each other down through jealousy and pettiness. They're here to take over the entire world together, as a unified force. To truly grasp the profound weight of these words and what they represent, you have to examine the hostile, unwelcoming landscape that Caitlin Clark has been forced to walk into. Since joining the WNBA, the reception from the old guard has been icy, to say the absolute least. We've heard legends ominously warn that reality is coming for her. We've seen established pundits openly question the validity of her historic records. We've watched veteran players deliver cheap shots away from the ball that looked far more like pure frustration than legitimate basketball plays. There's a palpable, undeniable sense of gatekeeping happening in the professional ranks right now. The veterans seem genuinely annoyed by the massive media circus surrounding Clark's every move, and that simmering annoyance often bleeds directly onto the court, in the form of unnecessarily hard fouls and overly physical play that crosses lines. This is precisely where Paige completely flips the expected script and changes the narrative. Technically speaking, if anyone had earned the right to be jealous or bitter, it would be Paige Bueckers. Before devastating injuries cruelly derailed her sophomore and junior seasons, Paige was the chosen one, the prophesied next face of women's basketball. She was the first freshman in history to ever win National Player of the Year. She was the face of the entire sport, appearing on magazine covers and national commercials. Then, while she was stuck rehabilitating her knee through grueling physical therapy, Caitlin Clark ascended to God-tier status, systematically breaking records and completely stealing the national spotlight. A lesser person would be consumed by bitterness. A lesser person would look at Caitlin's massive Nike deal and the private jets and feel a type of way. But Paige, she didn't just handle it gracefully, she celebrated it. Her mature behavior at the USA basketball camp proves definitively that the resentment and hostility we constantly see in the WNBA isn't really about fair competition or protecting the integrity of the game. It's about deep insecurity and fear of being replaced or forgotten. And Paige Bueckers is not insecure. Let's step away from all the interpersonal drama for just a moment and talk about the pure basketball. Because the practice footage from that training camp revealed a tactical nightmare scenario for every opposing team in the league. Why did they look so impossibly good together on the court? It comes down to perfectly complementary skill sets that enhance each other. Caitlin Clark is a high-volume, high-usage offensive engine. She needs the ball in her hands to dictate the offense's pace and rhythm, and she stretches the floor horizontally with her unlimited shooting range. Paige, on the other hand, is the ultimate efficiency merchant and tactical genius. She operates brilliantly in the mid-range, the paint, and off the ball, moving like a silent assassin waiting to strike. In the leaked clips, when Caitlin brought the ball up the court, the defense immediately panicked, stepping up aggressively to the logo to guard her. This defensive overcommitment left the lane completely wide open and vulnerable. Paige, with her elite basketball IQ, recognized this instantly and exploited it ruthlessly. She was cutting backdoor, flashing to the high post, and finding pockets of space that simply shouldn't exist against competent defense. And Caitlin, who is arguably the best passer in the world, found her every single time. It was a perfect symbiotic relationship.